Welcome to Rise Untold, where the stories behind the spotlight come alive. She wasn't born in Hollywood. She wasn't born into fame. She was born in a tiny village in Sweden in 1941, where winters were long and dreams felt far away. Her name was Ann-Margret Olsen. At 6 years old, her parents carried her across the ocean to America. They didn't have much, just hope. They settled in Chicago, where little Ann struggled with English but spoke the language of dance. She moved like music lived in her bones. Every step she took, every twirl, every note she sang. People stopped and stared. By her teens, she was already stealing talent shows. By college, she was done waiting. She dropped everything. She wanted the stage. She wanted the lights. She wanted the world, and the world soon wanted her. George Burns, the great entertainer, spotted her. He gave her 10 nights in Vegas. 10 nights was all it took. Hollywood came calling. RCA Records signed her. Fox Studios offered her a contract, and then, bye-bye Birdie. 1963. She sang, she danced, she smiled her way into the hearts of millions. Suddenly, this red-haired girl from Sweden was America's newest obsession. But the real spark, it came the next year. Viva Las Vegas. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, Ann-Margret, the queen of energy. Together, they didn't just act, they ignited. On screen, their chemistry was untouchable. Off-screen, rumors flew. Were they just co-stars? Or something more? The world whispered. The cameras zoomed closer. Even now, decades later, people still wonder what really happened. But here's the truth. Ann-Margret was never just Elvis's partner. She was her own storm. She took risks. She chose roles that demanded more. In Carnal Knowledge, she bared her soul and earned an Oscar nomination. In Tommy, she gave everything and won a Golden Globe. She wasn't a sidekick. She was a star, but stardom doesn't protect you from pain. 272. Lake Tahoe. A performance gone wrong. A fall from a 22-foot platform. She hit the ground face first. Bones shattered. Jaw wired shut. Doctors weren't sure she'd even live, let alone perform again. For 3 days, she lay in a coma. Most thought it was over. But Ann-Margret wasn't built to quit. 10 weeks later, she walked back on stage. Not broken. Reborn. And standing by her side was the man who would never leave her, Roger Smith. They married in 1967. Hollywood marriages rarely last a decade. Theirs lasted 50 years until his death in 2017. He wasn't just her husband. He was her anchor, her manager, her safe place through the chaos of fame, through the whispers about Elvis, through the fall and the comeback. Roger was there. But who was Ann-Margret away from the spotlight? Not many knew. She was private, guarded. Behind the fireball performances was a woman who struggled with depression, who battled her own shadows. In her memoir, she admitted she often felt like two people, the performer the world adored, and the quiet soul who sometimes didn't recognize that reflection. And yet, even in silence she fought, she kept singing, she kept acting. She kept moving. In the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, Ann-Margret never disappeared. She worked with Al Pacino, Jack Nicholson, Anthony Hopkins. She won Emmys. She proved again and again that she wasn't just a product of the 60s. She was timeless. And then, decades later, at 81 years old, she did something no one expected. She released a new album, Born to be Wild. The same woman who once danced with Elvis, now rocking with Joe Perry and Pete Townshend. It climbed the charts. At 81, she was still breaking records, still proving age doesn't kill spirit, and she didn't stop there. In 2021, she starred in Queen Bees, a comedy about life in a retirement home, and, once again, stole every scene in 2023. She rode her lavender Harley-Davidson across Los Angeles, daisies painted on the gas tank, the world staring as if time itself had bent, and in 2025, she made rare public appearances, smiling, glowing, speaking about her past with gratitude. When asked about her famous dance moves, she laughed and said, "My heart and my seat." That's Ann-Margret, unscripted, honest, still fiery after all these years. So, where is she now? She's not chasing headlines. She's not clinging to yesterday. At 84, she lives quietly, but not silently. She shows up when she chooses. She still rides. She still sings. She still burns with the spark that made her unforgettable. And soon, her story may hit the screen again. A biopic is in the works, with Lindsay Lohan rumored to star. A new generation might discover the woman who once set Elvis's world on fire. But even without that film, her legacy is written. She was the immigrant who became a queen, dancer who outlasted pain, the performer who proved beauty fades but strength survives. Ann-Margret is more than a star of the past. She is a living reminder that fame is fleeting, but spirit endures. So the next time you hear her name, don't just think of Elvis. Don't just picture the dazzling smile beside the king of rock and roll. Don't just remember the swirl of her hair, the swing of her hips, or the way she lit up the screen in Viva Las Vegas. Think deeper. Think of the girl who left Sweden with nothing but a dream, who crossed an ocean at 5 years old, holding on to hope like it was all she had. Think of the shy teenager in Minnesota who turned her accent and her insecurities into strength, who believed that maybe, just maybe, she could belong in the land of stars. Think of the woman who stared death in the face in Lake Tahoe when a 22-foot fall shattered her body, crushed her face, and silenced her voice. Doctors thought her career was over. The world thought she was finished. But Ann-Margret proved everyone wrong. With her jaw wired shut, she fought through pain most of us can't imagine. And when she stepped back on stage, she didn't return as a broken version of herself. She came back stronger, fiercer, brighter. That is not just survival. That is rebirth. And now, think of the 84-year-old who still dares to live, who still takes her Harley-Davidson out for a ride, feeling the wind against her face like the same girl who once danced with Elvis. Age may have slowed her, but it never tamed her. She is still that spark, the one Hollywood could never dim. Because legends don't die. They don't fade away. They adapt. They evolve. They outlast time itself. Ann-Margret's story isn't locked in the past. It's still unfolding, still inspiring, still reminding us that strength has no expiration date. So when the world tells you that you're too old, too broken, too forgotten, remember her. Remember the girl who became a queen, the woman who turned pain into power, the legend who refused to be erased. And if Ann-Margret could face the spotlight, the silence, the whispers, the crashes, and still rise, maybe you can too.